There is a timeless truth proven over centuries. You become what you think. Your mindset shapes your life. If you believe you are small, you will remain small. But if you dare to believe you have value, life will open doors you never imagined. Today's story is about a poor beggar who, by changing his way of thinking, became a successful businessman. Long ago, at a busy train station, a beggar survived by asking money from passing travelers. Each day, he stretched out his hand, hoping for a few coins just to get by. One morning, he encountered a well-dressed businessman walking with confidence. Believing the man must be wealthy, the beggar quickly held out his hand to ask for money. But instead of giving, the businessman stopped, looked him straight in the eye, and asked, "You only know how to take from others, but have you ever given anything to anyone?" The beggar froze. His whole life, he had only asked. Never once had he thought of giving. He stammered, "Sir, I have nothing. I am just a poor beggar." The businessman gave a gentle smile. "If you believe you have nothing to give, then you have no right to demand from others. To receive, you must first learn to give." Then he stepped onto the train, leaving the beggar standing silently, haunted by the question. That night, the beggar tossed and turned. "If I want to receive, I must give. But what do I have to give?" The next morning, while sitting at the station, his eyes caught sight of some wildflowers blooming by the railway. An idea struck him. What if I give flowers to those who give me coins? From that day on, whenever someone gave him money, he smiled and handed back a little flower. Something unexpected happened. People gladly accepted the flowers, and many gave him even more. He realized a simple truth. People love to exchange, to receive something in return. And for the first time, he no longer felt like a beggar, but like a flower seller. As time passed, the beggar slowly became a small flower vendor. He no longer received coins out of pity, but because he brought joy. He told himself, "So success begins the moment I change how I see myself." 6 months later, he met the same businessman again at the station. The man's eyes widened in disbelief. "Could it be? You are that beggar?" The flower seller smiled. "Yes, but I am no longer a beggar. Today I own a flower shop, and I'm expanding into other cities." The businessman asked, astonished, "What changed you so quickly?" The man replied, "You did. That day you told me I must give before I can receive. It made me realize I was never truly poor. I was only poor in my thinking." They shook hands, this time as equals. Years later, the tale of the beggar who became a businessman spread far and wide. By then, he owned a chain of flower shops, creating jobs for many of the poor. He was no longer just selling flowers, he was giving hope. Each flower he handed a customer carried a message. You have value, and you can change your destiny. One day, he returned to the old train station where he had once suffered so much. He saw several beggars with hopeless eyes. Approaching them, he gave not just money, but also these words. "Don't think you have nothing. Start with even the smallest thing, and you'll discover how truly rich you are." That night, sitting in his flower shop filled with fragrance, he wrote in his journal, "Success is not a destination, but a journey that begins with mindset. When I thought I was a beggar, I lived as a beggar. When I believed I was a businessman, I acted like one." And the world responded. He realized his greatest legacy was not his flower shops, but the proof that anyone can change their fate, simply by changing the way they think. Success took him many places. Newspapers wrote about him. Young people sought him out for guidance. But when asked about his secret, he always replied, "I did not start with capital or knowledge. I simply changed my mindset. I learned to give first, and life opened up to me." He often held talks, sharing his story from the train station. Many young listeners wept, seeing themselves in the image of the hopeless beggar. He encouraged them, "Don't wait for someone to save you. Start with the little you have. Success doesn't come from begging, it comes from giving." Years passed, and his flower chain expanded across cities. Yet what he was most proud of was not his revenue, but the hundreds and thousands of lives transformed by the belief he inspired. At a large conference, he held up a flower and said, "Long ago, a single flower changed my life. It reminded me that everyone has something to give, that everyone has value. And from that day, I was no longer a beggar, but a creator." Thunderous applause filled the hall. He smiled, thinking, "That day, the businessman planted a seed in me. Today, I am planting the same seed in countless others, and that is my greatest legacy. Life is shaped by how you see yourself. If you believe you are small, you will live small, but if you believe you can, you will. Remember, change your mindset, and your whole life will change.